Greetings and salutations, my friend. I said it before, and I'll say it again. The internet is a weird place, where some really strange things and topics go viral, and one of those topics went viral throughout this last week. And take a look for yourself. There are several articles covering this topic, and it seems like everyone is talking about it. One of those articles is titled, "Women, would you rather meet a bear or a man alone in the woods? I'd pick the bear." So apparently a selected group of women were asked whether they would rather come across a bear or a man in the forest, and completely unsurprisingly, a lot of women said bear. Let me quote a part of this article. The question went viral online this week, prompting discussions and arguments between the sexes worldwide. The comments from women on these posts and videos are harrowing. At least the bear sees me as a human being. People would believe me if I said I was attacked by a bear. If I survived a bear attack, I won't have to see the bear at family reunions. And this is kind of hard to read, because those things are happening all the time, actually. And I'm not talking about bear attacks. As someone who has experienced sexual assault myself, I have a lot of sympathy for all the victims of this sort of assault. Not just women, but men as well. This is a topic that is not being talked about enough, that men are experiencing it as well. It's not just women. In a way, I want to start this video as a middle finger towards all men who are part of this problem. And yes, there's a lot of men out there that are part of this problem. It's a big middle finger to those men. Furthermore, what I'm going to say here is purely my own opinion, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who are going to disagree with me, people who are going to have a completely different opinion, and that's okay. First of all, I think that a lot of reaction coming from men is I think some of them are really handling it the wrong way. And, the presence of so many memes and jokes about it, about how women prefer bears. What does that exactly mean, women prefer bears? Because that sounds like a very sexual thing. Is being implied in there. Like, would you rather pick a bear? And this is not what the thought experiment is really about. Like, what kind of a man thinks of that in this context? Like, they're thinking you're going to the woods in order to have sex with them? Well, obviously not. And it could be the case, and I think it is, that a huge portion of men who take the biggest offense to that are actually the sort of men that you should steer clear of. Just stay away from those bastards. But I also think that there's criticism that is coming from less hostile and less sexist place, and I think it's actually important to listen to that as well. And a very common response to that is men saying it's not all men. And here's the thing. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that, and I can understand why someone would take offense to that, right? I can totally understand that, because there is this group of men who makes it difficult for all of us, the men who are giving us a really bad reputation, and fuck those guys. But by saying, and I'm not saying that most women are saying that it's all men, but rather that they have issue with someone saying that it's not all men. But if you have an issue of saying that, what does that imply? That it is in fact all men? That we're all part of the problem? What is the answer here? I'm trying to really understand that. Because you see, if saying it's not all men gets a negative reaction, what kind of message is that sending to young boys who are growing up, who are thinking that they are part of the problem just because of how they were born? And as someone who had a huge issue with that growing up, who absolutely hated being a guy, I can see it as a solution for many young boys to want to escape their manhood, and it is reason for them to attempt changing their sex, you know, as was in my case. And I don't think it's healthy. I think we need to give men and boys space to be men and boys, really. And I think it's really, really important. And what I'm saying by that is not what you might be thinking. It's not about this toxic masculinity. It's not about being a predator. Not at all. If that is your association with masculinity, I feel sorry for you. And that's what I used to associate masculinity with as well when I was growing up as a kid and as a teenager and even in my early 20s, and actually just completely abandoning that type of mindset was what set me free. I think that this whole strange debate is yet just another step in this seemingly never-ending conflict and war between sexes, which is not something I think we need. I think we need each other. You know, men need women. Even me, as someone who's not attracted to women, I still need women in my life, you know, like my friends and my mother and my grandmother. I need those people in my life. I love women in my life. I love men in my life. And I think that we really need to live in harmony. And the more we focus on debating those things, the further we're moving away from harmony. And I know that this won't happen overnight, and I think that there is fault there falling on both sides. I don't think we should be blaming all women for this. I don't think we should be blaming all men for this. You know, I mean, there are some people out there, some guys who think that all feminists hate men, they all want all men to die, and that is just not a case for most feminists. Most feminists are cool people, in my opinion. But there are always rotten eggs in every single group that are just ruining it for everyone, right? It's like trans community, for example. Most of them are really, really cool people, right? But there are a few rotten eggs who are ruining it for everyone. And it's same with feminists, it's same with men. It is same with men. Those men you are talking about are rotten eggs, humans rotten to the core. But actually, not all of them. You know, if you try to see the nuance of that, is the person assaulting you really, really a horrible human? And you might be thinking, well, that's a really, really stupid question to ask. Why would you even be considering that? Of course they are. But you know, then I actually think about it, and they may have made a mistake that they are really, really regretting. They have the opportunity to change. And as someone who has experienced that sort of assault, I know just how easy it is to even see that person in that way. Your mind starts to think of that person as a monster, but I found it within myself to actually forgive, and that made me feel just so much better, not caring that way, you know, because hating someone is just so unhelpful and so unproductive. You know, most people, maybe except for a few cases of strongly antisocial people, such as, you know, people that have high levels of psychopathy and sociopathy and narcissism, are something we should definitely be worried about. But even someone making a mistake has a chance to improve. People have the opportunity to grow, and I think there are a lot of things with men's behavior that can be considered problematic, but I don't think we should be demonizing them for that, because that actually pushes people away from the possibility of changing, from the possibility of changing their mind, from the possibility of opening themselves up to maybe why what I'm thinking might be wrong, maybe it might be a little bit sexist, but by approaching that in an aggressive manner really isn't helpful. And you know, I can completely understand why some women wouldn't even want to have those conversations with men. I can understand that, but at the same time also think it's part of the problem. We are moving away from each other, you know? Like, on one hand you have those women who say they don't need a man, that it will be better if men wouldn't exist.
Unless you're gay, then it's fine. But if it's a straight man, that's not good.
Why is that not good?
Straight men? Rihanna, explain explain why straight men are good. Are not good. Because they're straight men.
That's kind of
Because they're
sexist, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
How is that not sexist?
Yeah, it's sexist. Because fucking man doesn't. Straight cis men don't deserve to fucking live.
That sounds a bit like Hitler to me. Like wanting to, saying an entire group of people don't deserve to live.
And in what way would it be better? Men are literally sustaining this world. It's mostly men who just keep it running. You know, it doesn't run by itself. All infrastructure and everything, it all functions thanks to men who are doing incredibly hard work that I don't think is being appreciated enough. On the other hand, you know, you have a group of men such as incels, who are perhaps some of the most toxic male groups, but also MGTOW. And MGTOW, which stands for men going their own way, is actually contributing to this phenomenon of men and women moving away from each other. And then, you know, you have something else happening, which is that young men and women these days are becoming more and more divided when it comes to politics. Women are becoming more and more liberal, men are becoming more and more conservative. And I'm saying this because I really think it's a concerning development that has been happening for many years now, and it's just amplifying at this point. And everything one side does creates a reaction from the other side, and that side does something, and this creates reaction that again creates even worse reaction here. And it just amplifies this hatred towards each other. And it's not just about sexes, really. You can apply exactly the same thing when it comes to, for example, race. We need to talk about these things because we need to stay strong as people, not as men, not as women, not as white people, not as black people, not as Asian people. We need to stand together as people. I think this is the only way I can see the future of humanity moving forward, unless we want to be completely eradicated or enslaved by emerging totalitarian forces in the world. So yeah, here's my opinion on this topic. If you agree, leave a comment. If you disagree, leave a comment. If you have no opinion, leave a comment and say, I have no opinion, or something. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is leave a goddamn comment, you know. Alright, you take a good care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video in just a couple of days. Ciao.